بسم الله الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله
Thank you
وبركاته.
to all of our viewers for tuning in to Real Talk. Alhamdulillah, we are in the best 10 days of the year, the first 10 days of Dhul Hijjah. I'd like to remind you that this channel, this podcast, or this conversation medium is sponsored by NZF, the National Zakat Foundation in Australia. And we have a current campaign that's running. The campaign is called or entitled Slipping Through the Cracks, where you have the opportunity as Muslims in Australia to assist those that are currently slipping through the cracks. So please, do take this opportunity seriously. Immerse yourself in the blessings of Allah Azza wa Jal by donating to the campaign. And without further ado, I have two wonderful brothers here, two beautiful brothers, Brother Roy and Brother Habil. And I've gotten to know a bit about their history and their background, but of course, being the age of 18 and 29, that can't be spoken about in a few sentences. Yani it's a journey, a rite of passage for all of us to go through identity crisis, first to understand the world and where we sit in the world. And we hope that our viewers today can benefit, specifically the parents who may have very young children, teenagers, where you may not understand their struggles, you may not understand where they're coming from. We hope that today, from this conversation, we're able to give you some clarity, some information behind why our youth are struggling with the matters that they're struggling with. Alhamdulillah. And the reason why we speak about the youth is because the youth are the backbone of society. The youth are, you can say, the essence of what the future will hold. For when you have righteous youth, upstanding youth, amazing youth that care about morals and virtues and values and that are future focused, that are there to serve the community, that have altruism, that have a learning approach to life, then you know the future is bright. So, Bismillah. I would like to start with Brother Roy. You pulled the short end of the stick today, man.
Yeah.
Brother Roy, could you please let us know about your background? How old are you? Where did you grow up? Which schools did you go to? That's where we'd love to start.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Roy Habil Kareem. I'm 18. I'm Indonesian, alhamdulillah. First school I went to was Bankstown Public School, which is just around the corner from here. And about year 5 and year 6, I was homeschooled and I went to Hafidh Quran school, Dari bin Abbas.
Nice.
And from then on, I left after 2 years and I just completed high school at Ashwood Boys.
At where, sorry?
Ashwood Boys.
Ashwood Boys. How was that experience at Ashwood Boys?
Alhamdulillah, it was good. It shows how it was different completely. It was a complete change, culture change from being in the Islamic environment to just being in a Western environment.
In a mainstream school, you can say, yes.
Yeah.
Definitely. And there's a big jump between primary school and high school. And you missed out on that stage 3, year 5 and 6.
Yeah.
That's where you start to, get ready for the year 7 transition into high school and whatnot. Yeah. How was that experience for you?
Alhamdulillah.
Was there a major culture shock?
Yeah, big culture shock. I was a very naughty kid, how you could say. Yeah, and I was I didn't do.
Did your parents admit it though?
Yeah. I mean, you could say, yeah. Alhamdulillah, my parents they knew I wasn't doing well in school, because I didn't do my actual studies. I just when I came home from Quran, Quran school, I just straight went to games. Straight went to games. That's how it was. My priority was games.
SubhanAllah.
Because I was still in that young mindset, having just games, play around, just have fun. That primary school stage, because I was not thinking about other stuff as now. Because my parents, I remember my sheikh's been telling me when you get home, do your recitations. Remember what you're reading today. Just keep your recitations revised. Alhamdulillah, but I never did that. I'll just go to Hafidh Quran school and I'll just do it there. That's all I'll do it. And then I'll never go home because I knew the other students will actually go home and, start memorizing more at home. But I never did that. I just went home, played games. That was it, yeah.
Do you feel that experience has opened you up to what you could have reached at that age?
100%. I could have achieved so much more than I did because, I was still young, didn't have that mindset to want to achieve, didn't know that what I could have achieved more because I missed out.
No. But now on this point, you do have that intrinsic drive though, because
Yeah.
the way you're speaking is that you want to make a future for yourself.
Yeah, 100%.
However, something happened in between the schooling time of year 5 and 6, where you're homeschooled, and you finishing and graduating high school. They're years that assist you in building identity. So I believe identity is an amalgamation of your values, what you believe in, your worldview, and your experiences throughout life. This is what shapes you as an individual. So for us being Muslim, we have our Islamic identity, where it's shaped by, you know, our understanding of the deen, and, you know, who we affiliate with, and how our closeness to Allah Azza wa Jal. How do you feel your Islamic identity was built during that time? Were you as righteous or religious per se throughout high school? Is that something that's come afterwards? Are you comfortable in speaking about that?
Yeah. During that time when I was Hafid Quran school, I wasn't, you know, really on my deen. You know, I was just there because my parents said, you know, they put me in the Quran school. They just want me to recite, memorize Quran.
They wanted the best for you, and that's how they understood.
Yeah.
Yani that outcome could have been reached through that.
Yeah.
That's why they put you there.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I wasn't really on my deen back then, but, you know, I was there in classes. I was learning. You know, I would memorize Quran and everything. Alhamdulillah, I memorized 2 juz when I was at, that Hafid Quran school. But I started being on my deen later in high school. You know,
Alhamdulillah.
When year 7 started, year 8, year 9, I wasn't really on my deen. I didn't really care about that stuff until, 2020 lockdown. 2020 lockdown was when everything changed for me. You know, it was hard. It was very hard. It was a challenge that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put on me and my whole family, you know, being locked in within everything, and being, you know, because we're used to not being together all the time. And so it caused fights in the family. It caused, you know, like disagreements, arguments, and it caused it divided my family apart. And, you know, for me, it was with me and my brother. You know, alhamdulillah, now we're good now. We're talking and everything. But back then we used to always fight, always fighting. Me and my brother are always fighting. Never had good anything between us. Always had bad blood, you know, always fighting. But alhamdulillah, because of my sister being there, the person, you know, she was someone on her deen and able to keep the family together. It really, you know, it influenced me as a young person. So really opened up my mind to understand that. She told me that, look at this situation as what Allah's testing you. Look what the lessons Allah's trying to teach you, and everything. And I opened up my mind to that, and I realized what Allah's trying to teach me. I had to be more sabr in myself and the situations around me. You know, it's the trust in Allah that we have to have. You know, the hope that Allah's going to make things easier for us. You know.
Alhamdulillah. So now, me dealing with youth on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah, I've been dealing with youth for the past 11 years. You know, from being 18 up until now. Alhamdulillah. I find that every few years a new set of challenges and struggles appears. So prior, you would say an entire generation would, you know, be 20 or 30 year gap in between them. Habil, I don't know if you want to chip in on this, but now it's happening every couple of years because of I don't know, maybe it's the advancement of technology, of humanity in general, where every few years there's a new culture or subculture that emerges where the previous generation, which is, you can say, there'd be a couple of year gap, 5 year gap or whatnot, they see that their struggles were different to the current generation or the most recent, perhaps if you want to use that wording. So Habil, in that regard, Habibi, knowing that you're a youth worker, you've been in the Glebe community your entire life, you've seen the good, you've seen the worst. Is there any substance to what I'm saying in regards to the struggles of youth,
100%.
where it's just constantly changing, but the change is now more, it's occurring at a much quicker rate. That's the way I'm seeing it.
Well, if you look like social media from back in the day when you and me were young,
Bebo,
we had even Bebo was
Bebo, MSN,
we had the
Hell
TV,
Talk,
the K-Zone magazine,
Cheese TV, Toasted TV, Dragon Ball Z, everything was happening.
And now you got the TikToks, the Instagrams, the Facebooks, and every video is like 6 seconds now. So if you're a teenager now, you're looking at, let's say, a video 6 seconds, and let's be honest, some of them are glued on there for like an hour minimum. That's 600 videos you're going through. And a young person, you're like, your frontal lobe is still developing. So you got all this information subconsciously, just it's all going in there. So as it, like for us, you know, when we were younger, we look at a like Rage back in the day on a Saturday, and we see a rapper wearing bling bling, and we're like, yeah, I want to wear bling bling. Then you got 600 videos just scrolling through, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like
unfiltered content.
Like
Unfiltered content.
crazy.
The algorithms kicked in. Everything's happening at once. And you know what? See that problem there? You know, current education psychology hasn't caught up to how do we deal with this problem. Like, for example, we still study in uni the Bronfen-Brenner theory, which looks at the macro system around what influences a child. So you have the child in the middle, then you have different layers around them. Okay, so you've got the child, then family, then friends, then school, then general community. Where is TikTok here? Which has more influence than every single person in that system. Where is the social media aspect here? You know, there's media there, but prior, when you would want to watch something on TV, you'd have to make sure you're there in front of the TV at 6 p.m. Yeah, like I'm trying to tell my son, Habibi, you're watching all of Beyblade on Netflix. I had to watch that over 3 years. You know, he just can't comprehend it. I had to watch Goku over 100 episodes on Super Saiyan. He's gonna watch it in 1 minute on YouTube. Like, you know,
that's scary, right?
Yeah, it is. It is
intimidating. Like we're grown now. Like obviously, but as a young person, I feel like there's so much pressure within all that. You're just absorbing things you don't even know you're absorbing. You know what I mean?
And you're absorbing ideologies without knowing.
Exactly.
And misrepresentations without knowing. And the catastrophizing online, you know, without realizing it's all subconscious, as you're saying. So in regards to the youth now, with all these issues that are occurring, there has to be a trend of the struggles they're facing though. Is it an identity crisis? What would you say? So we can put a nice, you can say, heartbeat monitor on, or a pulse monitor on, these specific issues that are facing the youth today.
I think identity issues are always going to be there. Whether it's more prevalent now because of all these new pressures of society now just clamping on everyone, and the influence it has on that one person. Like those are the two main things I can think top of my head now, and that connects with everything else with the young person, including us as old people, 29-year-old old people.
Like prior growing up, you know, you'd see Tupac, Biggie Smalls, Bone Thugs and Harmony. That's your culture that you've adapted.
Yeah.
And it suited well with where you're living. You know, you live in one of the ghettos of Sydney, for example. You know, the school you're going to, the friends that you hanged out with. It just was a certain perception. But now there are hundreds of these different cultures to choose from.
Exactly. Oh.
So how do we filter this? How do we keep our Islam with all of this without becoming, you know, a person that twists that culture to suit Islam? Because we're still attracted to that lifestyle.
Yeah.
We're still attracted to that. Like prior, I don't know, like I had this, like prior, the experience growing up was that you had to be tough and hard and XYZ. I don't use too many words. They're self-explanatory. However, today it's more of, you know, that's out the window. Like that was a sense of masculinity in the sense of being able to protect yourself. You know, we know that Islam defines masculinity as a person's ability to follow the Quran and Sunnah and protect their family and honor and whatnot. However, that perception of being strong, of being someone of authority, that was very prevalent in when I was growing up, especially in the part of Sydney that I grew up. However, moving forward, it's missing here. It's a subculture. It isn't something major. There are hundreds of them. How do we assist our youth in navigating this?
I think, for me, it's the household, number one.
Definitely.
I think now more than ever, like I'm not a parent yet, so look, if I say anything, that's I know you're a parent, so
I'll fix it up.
You can fix it up, right?
I'll fix it up for you.
The household is the most important part of anyone, of a young person. They grab, like you said earlier, their morals, their values, everything they learn is from home.
And that's what you fell back on.
Yeah.
You fell back on. subconsciously throughout your childhood, you still were taught about Allah and His Messenger.
Yeah.
Even though you were lost for a bit, you still had the seeds there. You had that knowledge just to be activated when it struck inside you. You know what I mean? Sorry, bro, I had to say that.
Oh no, that's a good point. No, it's
point,
true,
yeah,
but
true.
like, and I could relate to that. You know what I mean? Like, with everything going around in the world, you can't see your child 24/7. Like, you cannot be with them 24/7, especially if they live in a world like Australia, a Western society. There's no Islam to it. It's very important for the parents, all their stakeholders, even their friends, their environment. That'll come after the household. For them to just plant the seeds. Like, that's what I got. That's top of my mind.
Now, there's a way to do that. Rayhan, what do you think was an effective way of planting that seed in you? Let's not shy away from the fact that the Quran gets shoved down the throats of children.
Yeah.
Let's not shy away from that fact. Unfortunately, it's an adopted culture from overseas.
Yeah.
It's changed, or it's changing dramatically. Where now it's a focus on love of Allah, love of the Quran, and not just a tokenistic thing where when family comes over, boy, come, read Ayatul Kursi for your uncle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now it's actually, we have value in what we're doing.
Yeah.
We have value in why we recite, why we memorize. However, what was it that you fell back on specifically? Was it a story from the seerah? Was it you just, being connected to the community during Ramadan? What was it that helped you plant those seeds? It's very amazing to say that theoretically.
Yeah.
In theory, it's amazing. But how do we substantiate this and bring it to life? Because you've got parents listening in. Parents need to hear from these experiences. They need to learn from these experiences. Or else we won't be able to set up our children for success. And there's no doubt that, as you go through parenthood, you'll see the personality of your child develop. You need to change your ways to suit their personality. That's something that we have to, like, if we were to look at the lives of the Sahaba radiallahu anhum, you think to yourself, did every Sahabi have the exact same personality or mentality? No, they didn't. However, the Prophet ﷺ was able to influence each and every single one of them to righteous conduct without taking that away from them, without taking their personality away. So every human being is different. What assisted you, Rayhan? Because you spoke about gaming.
Yeah.
I was addicted to gaming.
Yeah.
Heavily. 48-hour raids. No sleep. Monster energy drinks. Mother energy drinks. It was really bad when I was in high school.
Yeah.
Very bad. Yeah, like, I don't think I turned off my computer for a year. Like, I just stayed on. I was scared if I turned it off, it wouldn't turn back on. I think Ammo Bill over there, he understands the feeling. When you're in that gaming culture, how'd you get pulled out?
Just first of all, like going back to the question you were saying before, it started from my parents. Well, my parents put me in classes, trying to put it down, and it's the stuff that you remember from those classes, going and taking it into life, because you're going to remember it here and there. You're not going to remember completely, but it's going to be like still some of a guide for you in a way, in life. And I've used that knowledge that I used from Darwin Abbas when I was there. That was like very beneficial knowledge.
Sheikh Abdul Kareem, Allah barik fik, if you're listening.
Inshallah, he's listening. He'll see me now. He hasn't seen me in years. But alhamdulillah, though, completely from then till now, I'm like, the knowledge that was gained from then has become beneficial to me now. And it's also the people that are around you, the ones that are going to help you, nurture you. If you're not surrounded by people who are, consistently remind you of Allah, you're not going to be reminded of Allah. You're going to be, going to this like world of fitna. You're going to be reminded of that. You're going to be, that's what's going to nurture you instead of, being nurtured by, the remembrance of Allah. Because if there's not going to be anyone to put you on that path, the people are not going to be like, remember to go pray or anything like that, then how are you going to be, on that path?
I love how you mentioned that the remembrance of prayer, because it's a mentality amongst a lot of parents where as long as my son or daughter isn't doing anything wrong, then it's all good. So if they're playing games all night, they're not doing anything wrong. They're not taking drugs. They're not drinking alcohol. They're not partying. They're not speaking to anyone. But they're not doing anything right either, which is the flip side here. Yeah. They miss all their prayers. They're speaking filth online with the subcultures of gaming and the specific language they use and how they treat each other and the bullying that's online and the degradation online, you know, like, how did you escape that world though? That world in particular, the world of gaming, because we gotta understand that when people become avid gamers, it's due to a personality at the time or an inclination towards being an introvert.
Yeah.
Where you'd prefer the company of people online instead of people in real life. That's where it comes from, you know, where you prefer to be a persona. You know, you've fantasized about who you really are. Yeah, like, for example, I hit this high score, or I'm this, you know, I'm XYZ, my KDR is so high, where this becomes important to you. So you have a persona now. Yeah, people don't know who you really are. Yeah. So you act the part. It's because as it stemmed from trying to escape the real world? Is it because you want to be in a community where you don't have to interact with them, you can switch it off? What do you think?
It's like one's like, yeah, it's like, you know, trying to just escape from the real world, not trying to interact. Back then for me was, but now alhamdulillah, it's like, it's what I learned and I implemented it in my life now. It's like you said, you know, it's parents had that thing of putting like Quran down your throat and everything, but then you start implementing it in your life and understanding, like, you know, like, it's not about, you know, for me, it wasn't all about games. You know, I actually had to go out there and, you know, I had school, everything. Like, then you make friends there and all that, and you become more social in a way, because you know, I'm not gonna stay at home all the time playing games and everything. You know, it was a test for me, because I enjoyed that more than just going out and everything. I realized, like, I'm not gonna stay at home every day. It was a challenge that it was something that I had to get out of my comfort zone, especially for me as a big boy. You know, I was very scared of what people thought about me. You know, being judged and everything. Like, you know, oh, they're gonna call me fat and everything. But, you know, I was like, who cares about that? You know, like, be out there, because if you're a good person, you're gonna be a good person.
Definitely.
So I went out there and I put myself out there. Alhamdulillah, you know.
Alhamdulillah, bro. Very proud of you.
Yeah.
Very proud of you, man. Alhamdulillah. I had those body image issues growing up as well, man. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. We're all big boys.
Oh, I didn't care anyone said. I'll come after you.
That's it, man. Which shoulder?
Run it straight.
Alhamdulillah. Habil.
Yes, sir.
Your specific occupation.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't want to say rainbow, but it's very colorful in the sense of the different things that you have to respond to. Because youth issues aren't one thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so, you know, it's forever changing. It's incidental. You become an incidental counselor. Something happens, boom, you have to deal with it. You're the fire extinguisher. That's what I presume. Am I right in that?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Did I describe it well?
Pretty much. Yeah.
Tell me, man, what's plaguing our youth right now the most? And when I say our youth, don't think just Muslim youth. Because we need to understand, parents, whoever's listening, whatever's plaguing society, it will creep into your door, into your window, through the cracks. It's going to go everywhere. Because you live in this society. You're not separate to it. So whatever's happening in general will come to your doorstep as well, will affect all of the youth. Because that's the age group, that's where they're at. You know, our children don't all go to Islamic schools. They don't all go to public schools. They all mix. So we need to understand what's happening in general to see and combat it from our community perspective. So Habil, the question's there, man.
It's a big question.
If you want to split it up into different categories, go for it, man. If you want to speak about employment, mental health, if you want to speak about, you know, addiction.
I think, again, I'm going to mention it. We're going to have to talk about the social media part. I think that plays a big role in pressure, like giving too much pressure for the young person. Pressure meaning there's a certain image they got to be like. There's a certain persona they got to be like. Everyone wants to be a driller. That's one big problem.
They live in Glebe, man. They don't live in Mount Druitt.
But there's two sides of Glebe. There's the old money side, and then there's the not so good. It's gentrified now. Anyway,
understand. Yes, I'm from Miller, man. Sorry, I grew up in Miller, bro.
Oh no, I'll stay away from it.
Yeah, I'll tell you. Okay,
stay away from it.
Gentrification's happening there now.
So yeah, everyone thinks they're a driller now. There's a lot of violence going on. A lot of violence.
Now, on this point, without social media, we would not know what's happening in the UK drill scene.
Yeah.
You know, we only know about the American rap scene because they ended up on MTV and Rage. You know what I mean? CDs were being sold XYZ. but the driller scene in the UK is literally only through the like it's like the it was only through the medium of YouTube, Snapchat,
All the social
Instagram,
medias, yeah.
nothing else.
And like even us growing up, I've never heard no postcode walls before. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now it's all about you're not from
cities, Compton,
Yeah,
not
Compton.
Compton, this,
I'm a Crip, I'm a Blood.
yeah, pretty much, yeah.
And now it's all about, let's, for instance, I'm 2195. You're not from me, you're from Bankstown, I'm gonna get you. And it's not with fists no more. Like there's real instances, like majority of the people fighting now is with like Rambo machetes.
Yeah.
And knives, weapons.
And it's being glorified.
Used. Yes.
It's being glorified.
And that's for me, my job right now, that's one of my biggest issues is the violence. I've never seen it, even growing up, be this bad.
The knife, I see it as whatever happens in America slowly trickles into the UK. And then slowly trickles into Australia. So the knife crime in in the UK, it is massive. It is massive to the extent where there are amnesty knife boxes. You leave your knife in there, it can't be linked to any crime, just to get the amount of knives off the streets. And this is very worrying in Australia in and of itself. And Australia being a country that has such strict gun laws, that's the first option.
Wow.
And then when you have the glorification in their lyrics, shanks and sheaves and what have you, what does that leave to our youth? That the only way to be successful, to get a name for yourself, to be respected, is by putting a knife into someone. How do you combat that? How do you speak to them? Because they don't understand the sanctity of human life.
No. Honestly, I'm having trouble with that. I think trying to get them to understand like how important life is and understanding that you're not just hurting, even because it's not just the attacks you're doing, it's the consequences that will happen with you as a young person. Like if you get caught, you get locked up, you're not just affecting you, you're affecting everyone around you. It's your parents, it's your nan, it's your cousin, your brother, your mates. And like, again, like I'm youth workers, I'm only with them like 3 hours in a week. So it's just like an uphill battle.
See there, it's the consequences of, anything material. As Muslims, it's a consequence of our soul. Killing a person. You damage your soul. You rip your soul apart. This is a soul that was gifted by Allah Azza wa Jal to this body. And you've taken it away. But at that time where, because there's so much buy-in in that subculture, that's all they see. And then I follow the drill scene, by the way. Okay, if you work with youth, this is everyone. If you work with youth, you need to know what they're doing, what they're saying, what's happening. Okay, I do follow the drill scene. Okay, for this reason though.
Yeah.
So you've got the mainstream drill scene that only speaks about this rubbish, about killing people. Then you have the ones who are trying to make it on the drill scene because that's their art and that's their creative expression, but they try and provide a different side of things to that lifestyle, you can say, or to that persuasion. So they get drowned out.
Yeah.
For example, you've got Akala.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know him.
Yeah.
Famous rapper in the UK. I think he went to Oxford or Cambridge or something. Finished a PhD. The guy's got millions of dollars in book sales. Amazing human being in the perspective of social improvement, empowerment of youth and XYZ. Yeah. His lyrics are literally combating this ideology of postcode wars and whatnot, that they're being fueled by certain segments of society for a specific purpose behind it. That really no one cares about you and your postcode. However, you're a pawn piece in the chess game.
Exactly right.
I don't want to get too political in that. However, these voices are drowned out. So these guys are still, you can say, main players in the drill scene, and they're drowned out completely. So then what about parents who have no idea? They have no idea about this. How can we assist these parents in guiding that child? Is it by locking that child up? Is it by sending him back to Indonesia or back to, India or back to Pakistan? What do you do? What do you think is an effective strategy? Because rapport then is finished.
Yeah.
If you haven't built rapport with your child at the age of 14, 15, they're thinking about, using knives for you know, to gain respect and whatnot and to do whatever they want to do with them, what do we do then? What's the, and I know it's a heavy question, man. It's a big burden, but you know, like, it's real talk. We have to speak about
real.
it.
It's
You know what I mean?
Again, big question. What are some of the things we can do, or as a parent, what are some strategies? Again, like your relationship with your children. Number one, you got to build that before that happens. Number two is do what you do. Understand the subculture, what's going on. Be aware of the surroundings.
So there's no more, oh, this is rubbish, and focus on your studies. There's no more of that. That's no longer acceptable, you're saying? In the sense of that parental talk?
I think, like you said earlier, like in the beginning, you got to adapt the way you parent, right? Like with everything around you and the pressures, I think you need to adapt your way of parenting to what's going on now. So parents understanding the environment, not fully understanding, but being aware of what's there.
Yeah.
You got any more? As I think.
I've got one for Rehan, man. I'm going to give you a break. I'm so sorry.
Actually,
I've machine gunned you. Habibi,
yeah, I like to add on.
go for it.
It's also being a role model to your child. It's
Allahu
also the
Akbar.
way you act
Allahu
and
Akbar.
the way you are going to be to your child, and that's how the child's gonna grow up. That's how the child's gonna look up to you. Because if you think about it, if you look at how kids are raised, it's what they look at, what their parents are teaching them, and everything. If you're not being a good role model, what do you expect your child to be? You expect him to be like the best child you ever have? Of course not. It's the way you're going to be to your child. If you're constantly hitting them, you know, being abusive towards them, you think your child's gonna be, you know, like he's gonna listen to you all the time and everything. He's gonna be rebellious. He's gonna want to do something. He wants to do something about it. He'll become violent himself and everything.
Definitely.
So
100%, man.
yeah, it's a big thing. You know, it's not look. You know, people just they shy away from it. You know, they don't look. They don't think about it like, you know, what's this rubbish or whatever, being a role model. But it's a big thing.
Big thing.
You know.
100%, man. And even then, you defined abuse as physicality or, you know, bad language. Abuse is also in absence. So when they say an absent father or absent mother their entire life, someone's going to fill that void. We need connection as human beings. Someone's going to fill it. Who's going to fill it? The gang. Your group of boys. The ones who will tell you, I'll die for you. You know, if I get done, I'll never sit your name in. All this rubbish, all this fake camaraderie, that's what gets, you know, sold to them. And then they believe these people are their family, not their actual family at home, you know? And for the youth listening, if you have an absent parent, think about why. Where do you live? Do you live in the most easiest economic system? I'm not trying to make an excuse for them, but you know, youth have to grow up earlier these days. They have to grow up a lot earlier. They understand what inflation is now at the age of 13. At the age of 13, man, I was trading Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Blue Eyes White Dragon. Like, seriously.
Yeah.
So, this expectation on the youth now of, you know, you need to think about your parents as well. You need to think about this. Isn't it too much? Isn't it too much?
Yeah.
Or is it just how we have to be now? Have you thought about that, Rehan?
Yeah.
In your youth growing up?
Yeah, I have a friend that, you know, their parents not there for them. They moved to Australia just with their sister and everything. And you know, it's different for them because they don't have that love from their parents because the parents are absent. They're not there for them or anything like that. So, you know, that in itself is abuse, you know, not being there for your child and that child looking other ways, you know, whether it's joining gangs or, you know, joining this like LGBTQ community to feel loved and everything. It's, you know, it's the fitna around the world that, you know, because it's just because, like, you know, your family is not there for you at first. You know, you're not there to build that connection with your child and everything, and you know, leads them wrong the path.
On this point here, building connection. This void should be filled by the millions of dollars that we have put in masajid and community centers. Real talk.
Real talk.
Real talk, brother.
Real talk, bro.
Real talk, Habibi. Alright, all we hear about is youth.
Yeah.
Masjid gets built, people disappear. The bricks are done, the dust starts piling up. To the people that are the stakeholders of masajid, what advice can we give them because we love them for Allah's sake. They're maintaining the house of Allah. But the house of Allah has a different purpose in Australia. It's not just for Salat. It's not just for Ramadan. House of Allah needs to be a community hub.
Yeah, 100%.
What programs do you think, Habil, can we implement to build this connection with youth? And it's not Quran program. It's not sit there, listen to dars. That can be part of it, integrated.
Yeah.
But what else can be done? And which places do you think are doing this right from your perspective? Knowing that, you know, you're in Glebe and whatnot.
Yeah.
Think about, you know, I don't know how PCYC Glebe does it. I don't know anything like that. Or any community hub out there that brings in the youth effectively to help them with, you know, social and emotional development. Because that's what it is in the end. We're trying to develop a holistic human being.
Yeah.
You know? But in Islam, we're trying to develop a holistic Muslim.
Yeah.
A muhsin, you know, perhaps.
Well, growing up, what I saw going to like programs that the masajid used to do is that
in DY?
nah.
Glebe,
I used to just I used to come go Tempe, Lakemba.
Oh, okay,
like,
yeah,
I used
yeah.
to roll around, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. And
They would always target one sort of Muslim, and that would be the Muslims that their parents would already have the relationship with and drop them off. I think what the organizations in Australia miss, and this is my opinion, and if I'm wrong, again, sorry.
Brother, wait. You're speaking from a specific realm.
Yeah.
So we gotta understand the different realms to target.
Yeah.
Okay? And I was actually happy not knowing the two of you. Because now it's a realm I can engage in.
Yeah.
You know, we grew up differently. Different areas, different everything.
Yeah.
We have different, you know, ways of dealing with situations and whatnot. So I don't think that it's wrong or your opinion's wrong. It matters. It matters especially for where you're coming from. So it's not a one glove fits all approach, you know?
Yeah.
You're speaking from your realm, and your realm may have never been represented. So don't say it's, you know, like, oh, my opinion. No, this is justified. You know what I mean? So please go for it.
Is that a lot of the organizations miss the opportunity of doing outreach on the streets. I know it's happened before, but I think it's dropped off a lot, and it's not as prevalent. But like we said earlier, the boys and the women that don't have that role model at home, and they want that connection with someone. How are they getting reached out? And that's my my experience, like going to these things. Like all the boys that are like a bit rough around the edges would never be targeted. And I think you'd get so much more out if organizations would just pivot and reach out that way, left way, do something a little bit fun on the street and grab those sort of like them fellas there. And I know UMA do really good stuff. Shout out to them. I always see them do some really good things. Yeah. MIA do really good things. There's a guy named Ali who heads that.
Heard dodgy things about that.
They do really well. I know Ikra in the Indonesian community do some good stuff. Tempe Mosque. But yeah, that's my opinion so far. Like, I think there's organizations out there that do really well. Like there's a mention. I think maybe one day, when will I ever see it? Inshallah soon. Is maybe they just feed off each other. Like with how we work, if a program's not running in this area, let's fill that void. So on a Tuesday, let's say Lakemba Musalla, you can do an activity that day. On a Wednesday, LMA, you do one. That's just me just blabbering.
No, I understand that. It's like we want this to become mainstream.
Yeah.
In the sense of it's not just a single effort.
No.
Where it dies down over time, you know?
And that's you probably saw it a lot too. Like things would start up and then
it'll fizzle.
And look, and the brothers that would do it, I know it's a volunteer role. So like, I'm not going to blame them for it, but
we need buy-in from the community.
Yeah,
that's what we need.
That's what it is. Like
buy-in from the community.
So you can't rely, because what I've seen as well is that there'll be 4 brothers, and it'll just solely rely on them. And I don't think that's fair. I think, like you said, the whole community of the masajid or the organization need to come together and understand how important your role is for the program you're going to do. And everyone needs to buy in. If only half of you buy in, that it's going to be a half effort and things will fizzle out.
In regards to qualifications for individuals who want to tread down this path, that's something that we have issues with, where people become incidental, accidental counselors, for example. What qualifications do you think are the most effective when it comes to dealing with youth in particular? We know the best qualification is experience. However, we need something formal. What do you think? Is it a Bachelor of Social Work? Honestly. Is it a quick diploma in youth work? Or do they need a qualification?
I honestly think.
What do you think, man?
You don't need a qualification, because some people just, I'm going to say it, built different. They know the go. You just need that one person to teach them. If you want to go through the qualification route, you can. You can do a Cert 4 in community service, youth work, whatever avenue you want to do with the young people. But I think you get, because there's so many brothers and sisters out there who are already in the field and they're happy to take their time out to teach. And it's nothing too much. Like, as things go on, if a problem arises and they need help with that, there's so many brothers in the field that would be happy to help with that. You know what I mean? So I think, get it started and reach out to the community and see who's down for that.
Thank you so much. Rehan,
Yeah.
what would you like to see at your local centre or your local masjid when it comes to the youth?
To reach out more.
To reach out more. How do you think we can do that?
Is by spreading it, just not by like Habil said, like, you know, if it's for those 4 people, it's relying on those 4 people. You know, why does those 4 people, you know, tell everyone that comes into this event to spread the word about it. You know, tell more people to come. You know, it becomes a bigger community. You know, more people come in, the bigger it becomes. You know, the more it's beneficial for everyone else. Everyone's involved. Not only just like, you know, those 4, like, you know, going to be involved. It's everyone. You know, everyone's helping out each other. Everyone's getting hasanat from it and everything. So I reckon just reaching out, you know, like reach out to other, like, you know, like organizations too.
So seeing beyond ethnicity, yeah, seeing beyond ethnicity. I think that's the key element here, is that we need to see Australia or the Australian Muslim community as multicultural in and of itself, multi-madhab, multicultural, multi-struggles, multi-identity, multi-problems, multi-everything, yeah. And it's using those, or it's mobilizing those community resources for the purpose of what they were intended for. The purpose was community development. How many centers use the word youth and youth work as their main sale point when it comes to fundraising and donations? It's just tokenistic when you don't see anything on the ground, you know? Now, mobilizing these efforts though, do you think they should be separate to mainstream governmental institutes? Should they be separate to that? Or should they work hand in hand? Or should there be some collaboration while keeping in line with our faith? So for example, I'll give you an example. All teenagers need to go to school. Yeah? Every teenager needs to go to school. Let's speak about it from a teenager perspective. All teenagers need to go to school. Every school has different problems within it in regards to its student body. You know? Some schools have the issue of, and when we say the student body, we mean the Muslim body in that school, yeah? Some schools have the issue of students becoming atheists, you know? Muslim students becoming atheists. So there's a different approach to that school. Other schools have the issue of the postcode wars or whatnot. You know, there's a different approach to that. Should our masajid, centers, institutions, what have you, focus on developing relationships with those schools to assist those kids while they're mandated to go to school? Or should there be an external effort altogether, where an outreach program perhaps where you go and call them from their gatherings or where they hang out? By the way, I don't know where everyone hangs out anymore. It used to be Orange Grove Road, Krispy Kreme's meant every Thursday night. That's where it used to be.
They had that purple parrot.
They had purple parrot. Getting something healthy. 99 grams of sugar. Anyway, not from purple parrot, A'udhu Billah, from the way that acai has been marketed. That's leave that on the side. Billy, cut that out, please. May Allah bless the brother's business. Tafaddal.
I ate it.
Anyway. I love it, bro. I love acai, but straight out, so healthy. It's amazing. It's like ice cream, but like vegan.
No dairy.
No dairy.
Good for your gut. No.
Uh,
We digress.
oh no.
Um,
This was sponsored by.
I think you can get good out of both. It really depends on what the masjid wants and what the organization wants, right? And the thing is, do we unify our like all the organizations and masjids?
Bro, take your unify away, please, Habib. Please.
All right,
Billah
take it
alaik.
away. All right.
What did I say?
We'll talk.
That's it.
We'll talk.
There's no unification.
All right.
Imagine it's a single center. What should they focus on? You can tell I have trauma, eh? Oh, nah. May Allah unite us all, but
Look.
let's be real about if someone wants to take this and run with it.
If they want to do it with the school, that's a plus. Why is it a plus? The stakeholders are all involved.
No.
In terms of like, they go to school 8 hours a day, and the organization that's involved is also, so they know what's going on at school. The school might have a counselor. They can contact that.
Or student support service or whatever.
Yeah, SSOs.
Yeah.
And they can be all linked and understand, all right, how do we further support this young person to reach their best potential? Now, if the organization has its own, wants its own like agenda, I'm going to say that, then you don't want control from other places. So then you have free reign of how you want to do it. So there's two ways about it. Obviously, working with the schools would probably
Yield better results, you believe?
I think it would, but the other one could also work as well, like because instead of the school knowing stuff, then you'd be in contact with the family, parents, and whatnot.
Yes.
But I think with the schools involved, like I said, 8 hours a day, they know the kid more than they know themselves.
Yeah.
I guess. But yeah.
Do you see buy-in from the youth? Or is it, man, this guy's going to come and tell me about deen and Allah and akhlaq and
To be completely honest, from my experience, like with organizations, some orgs I used to stay away from just because I knew they were just going to talk my ear down for the rest of my life. And I didn't want that at that time, obviously. I used to like the organizations that would have fun and pray, talk for 10 minutes. And I took away from that 10 minutes and the prayer and the brotherhood more than I ever did with sitting on the floor, numb leg for an hour and a half. That's my. Well, what do you reckon?
But each one has its purpose.
Yeah, 100,
You know what I mean?
100. Because
Each one's got its purpose. And
If-
it's the way you deal with it and approach it.
100%. So like, if I wanted to go to a lecture, I'm gonna expect that. But if I'm going to a fun youth talk activities, yeah, then I'm gonna choose the other part.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
You
100% agree. Yeah.
find the same?
Yeah,
Alhamdulillah.
it's like that event that it brings us together, you know. Because as a youth, you're still young. You still want to experience fun. You know, you're gonna be bored out of
that
your mind.
connection.
Yeah, you're gonna be bored out of your mind just sitting on the floor, just listening to something. Eventually, you're gonna sleep on the floor. You know?
But in saying that, like once you get those young fellas in through the door and you build that connection, and you would know that.
All their friends. Everyone comes after that.
Everyone comes.
It's like fire. Wildfire.
And if you respect the role models there, and that's what they're yearning for, you listen to that bloke for dead set half a day, I wouldn't care. You know what I mean?
Definitely,
Because
100%.
you look up to the person, you want to hear what they say. Like
Even when they pull you up,
Yeah.
they know it's coming from a place of care and compassion.
100.
Not because I want to be better. Not because, I want to put it on you
Yeah.
or anything like that. You know?
It's respect. It's respect and care. And once those 10-minute talks happens after the third one, you'll be like, oh, I'll come for the 4-hour talk on wudu, which is important. Actually, yeah.
Look, bro, I'll teach it to them in 4 minutes. Show 4 hours. They don't need to know what qullatayn is, habibi. This is how you wipe your face, wipe your legs, bro, and move on with life. You want to become a faqih? We have something else for that. Oh no, subhanallah. You know what? I want to ask a question, man. This is something that I really think about. And let's be real about this. We live in a society where our youth, they inherit the baggage produced by the community in general. Not by the Muslim community, but you can say the global community in general. Where we're born into a world, and let's be real, being post September 11 and whatnot, post ISIS, we're born into a world that hates us. We're born into a world that hates us. Look at the Islamophobia reports and whatnot. We're born into a world that hates us. The sister puts on her scarf, and my apologies, a lot of what we've been speaking about, I think, was targeting boys.
Yeah.
And that's our bias.
Mm-hmm.
So let's
the girl talks tomorrow, isn't it? 7 o'clock, same time.
Yeah, Sunday.
Oh, Sunday.
Sunday.
7 o'clock.
Sunday.
Sunday.
Yeah.
We don't say gender, it's alright. I want to get fired for that one, but no, I'm joking. From the show, Yani. Yeah. Nah, but on this point, seriously. Our youth are born into a world that hates us. I firmly believe this. This is my understanding growing up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? We are born into a world that hates us. Do you feel that the youth feel love now? Do we know what love is? In its raw essence. Being able to know that I'll be supported.
You're a youth. You can speak on that.
From my experience, like my own personal experience, like yes, you can feel it, but it's the people that are around you that are going to give it to you. But from others' experience that I've seen, it's hard, especially trying to get that. Just like there's like that expectation boundary that they expect you to have, especially in this Western world. That it's hard to really get that like raw love from like people around you and everything, because they just expect so much from you.
Thank you so much for adding that, man. I have a question. Sorry, just bouncing off this. Being Indonesians, like when they see things that are pertaining to post-ISIS and whatnot, it's usually an Arab persona. That's the misrepresentation and the over magnification of what is evil. You know what I mean? A'udhu billah. So do you get the same connotations that someone that looks like an Arab like myself get?
Everyone thought I was Samoan. Everyone still thinks I'm Samoan.
That's it, man. I think it's the shoulder charges.
I think so.
That's what it is, bro. I think when you pick up that ball, bro, you run it straight. It's done. It's finished.
But in all honesty, I never really used to get it growing up until like I'd say I'm Muslim. But other than that, everyone
like hell. Yeah, hell.
I never copped it.
When did you become Muslim?
10 years ago or something.
Oh, subhanallah, man.
Just from that, like people calling it out is what I mean.
Yeah.
But pressures of being a Muslim.
Did you ever have it from your name, for example?
Yeah.
Habil, is it a Muslim name in terms of, is it known in wider community that it's a Muslim name?
I used to.
Rayhan would be.
Yeah, Rayhan.
Ali is.
Habil's, yeah.
So people know, like, oh, you see this name, it's foreign name, Muslim name.
They don't actually association with Islam, not really.
Yes.
I used to.
You used to say that.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's Muslim name.
Yes.
And like,
yes.
back in the day, I never used to like using my name because it wasn't that I was scared to be Muslim.
So you were Harry.
Trev. I never used to like disrespecting the religion.
Yeah.
So I never used to
your
like.
surname.
I used like a fake name because
Okay.
it was just like I don't want to disrespect Islam and that name, so I'm gonna
Is Trev your surname? Sorry.
No, it's just a made up
just a
name.
made up name?
Yeah,
Okay.
Hey Trev, how you going? That's it.
Nice.
What
was the nickname?
Yeah, nickname. That's about it.
My name's Alex Frost. But
Mine's just Roy.
that's
Yeah,
it.
and people thought I was fob too.
Yeah.
The way I look, they're like,
Yeah.
"Where? As if you're not fob." I'm like, I am. I'm not.
Are you wearing a New Zealand shirt, man?
Yeah. I actually live from my uncle.
Something's off the boat somewhere there, man. But on this point, like, we're here to represent what the community goes through in general.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is part and parcel of that.
Mm-hmm.
That identity crisis is born out of issues that occur in wider society and globally around the world. Do you feel that connection as strong as others who would be targeted, for example, in the sense of, do you feel connected to conflict around the world as a Muslim?
100%.
So there's no because they're Turkish, for example, they are they're more connected to the earthquakes in Turkey or whatnot.
Nah.
Your deen connects you, not your culture.
100%.
No. And how did you build that?
Parents,
Parents, yeah.
household environment, understanding what Islam is. It's not just for an Arab, it's for everyone.
No.
And how we're all connected. Like, I call you my brother. That's enough for me.
No.
If you're my brother and you get hurt, I'm gonna hurt.
You gotta protect the person,
Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
But, I'm hurt too.
There's a feeling there.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah. On this point, Shabab, in particular, there's a certain stigma in our community. The stigma is that these issues only exist amongst the boys. Is Ashford, is it a boys' school or was it a
full boys school?
full boys' school? Okay. So I'm going to pass this on to Habil. Being a youth worker in the wider community, is it a misrepresentation from us? Or does it also occur with the girls in the sense of these issues that face the youth?
Of course, yeah.
Is it a 50-50? Is it a 40-60? From your personal experience and observations? Or is it just everyone?
Women cop it more.
Subhanallah. Yeah, our outreach is targeting the men more.
Yeah. And
Do you think that needs to change?
100%. Why do I think it needs to change? Is they're outwardly wearing the hijab. Their pressures on them culturally. Some cultures are a lot more strict on the females. Like
the cultural norms have to be upstood, yani. That have to be upstanding in the sense of they have to succumb to cultural norms whether they're Islamic or not.
Yeah,
that's what you're trying to get at, yeah?
Yeah.
No.
That's what I think.
Yeah, we gotta stop talking about this, man. Yeah. No, I'm joking. No, but in all honesty, if you were to look at representation of the Muslim community in general, females, the maximum potential they have is to become a Quran teacher in the back of the masjid. Sorry to say, like that's what's the most common trend. Yeah. Whether someone thinks that's right, that's wrong, X, Y, Z, it's really got nothing to do with you. It's more of what does our community need. When I see female leadership within Muslim communities, I actually get happy because now these girls are watching and seeing
and have someone to go to.
Potential to go to, and that narrative is now being challenged. We live in this society now. This is where we are. This is where we're at. If we don't have strong female representation with strong Islamic morals and values, that's what they say. It's like, oh, when a female's in leadership, then we've given up our Islamic morals and values, and that's not the case. That's your perception of what happens. And I'm gonna get backlash for this, but it is what it is, man. When it comes to living here, being effective here, the girls need those girl role models. Those females need the female role models. Those role models are not built overnight or in a corner. Those role models build those characteristics, that skill set by being in the community, by also working within their Islamic boundaries and frameworks like the men need to. Yeah? How do they do it in the wider community organizations? Is it they don't see gender? Is it they don't see like everyone's equal in the sense of there's equal opportunity? How do they see it? Or is it just, this person fits the role, we interview them, they got the job, move on with life?
So the way
what is it exactly there? Keep in mind as well is that as Muslim communities, it's very touchy, we're on eggshells around this, you know? We just accepted a woman being called Shaykha and she's more qualified than half khair.
You want to keep going?
No, I'm gonna stop, man. Billy cut.
So wider community, we do 50-50. So I work with the young men and my co-workers work with the young women. So they have women's business, men's business.
No.
And then more.
And it's respected.
Yeah.
It's respected. Why though? Because it's seen as this is what's the most effective for who? For the youth. The purpose of why you're dealing with people. I don't think you'd be comfortable having a female youth worker come and speak to you during those days, would you? I wouldn't be comfortable at all, you know? However, a male, you know, youth worker, 100% I would have been comfortable with it. Not by virtue, not by it being a sexist thing or anything like that. It's just, this is, you know, this is just how we operate as Muslims, you know, as Muslims. So the outreach for those that run masajid and Islamic centers and whatnot needs to go further than just the sheikh, further than just the imam, further than just, you know, the brother who gives the talk and has the sausage sizzle. It needs to be incorporating and empowering Muslim women to be able to do this better for the girls. Because at the end of the day, we believe from our doctrine, from our Islamic history and our tradition, that the most important person in a household is the female. The first school is the mother. You know, this is what we uphold, and this is something that we flag bear, something that we hold dear to us, that the first school, the first interaction, half the ummah, as Ibn al-Qayyim said, the entire ummah, as Ibn al-Qayyim said, that it is the woman, because she is half the ummah in number, and she gives birth to the other half. Subhanallah. For these outreach programs, you know, how do you think we can reach these sisters? Do you think it's by building a core network of sisters who speak to others and then bring them in like that? Or can we utilize any social media? I'm sure, you know, like we touched upon social media, and I want to end with this question. Firstly, which social media apps do you use?
Facebook, Instagram, Snap,
WhatsApp,
Discord,
and WhatsApp. Oh, we'll just call it messaging.
messaging.
It's already social media.
It's all messaging. Discord is just
gaming,
online, talking with your
Yes.
friends.
Definitely. What about you, brother Rehan?
Same as him, like, just accept not Facebook.
You're from the other generation.
Yeah.
Me personally, it's Facebook. I don't use any other social media other than Facebook. I have LinkedIn as well. Yeah. But that's it. LinkedIn and Facebook. I don't use anything else. No Instagram, no Snapchat. And even then, I feel like Facebook's too much for me. Like, I still need to, I'm there just to have a social presence. You know, I had Twitter at one point. Then, you know, I just got rid of that because it was too toxic. Yeah, like way too toxic, you know? But I've now limited myself, which means my reach is limited. You know, there's the argument of, go on TikTok, you have much more reach. But maybe I'm going to end up like that person who scrolls 6 seconds for an hour. And that all of that has a direct link. Our eyes have a direct link to our hearts and our souls. So we're tainting our eyes and poisoning our souls by breaking our Islamic boundaries using those apps. But how else can we... This is a real question, because this is where a lot of masajid and centers and brothers and sisters stop.
Yeah.
You know, I want to save myself. أَتَأْمُرُونَ النَّاسَ بِالْبِرِّ, as Allah says, you command people with birr, with righteousness, but you forget yourselves. أَتَأْمُرُونَ النَّاسَ بِالْبِرِّ وَتَنْسَوْنَ أَنفُسَكُمْ. Yeah, and you have forgotten yourself. You know, how do we have that boundary there? What do you think? Or is it because you're such fluid users of these apps, it doesn't faze you anymore? You know, I'm sure that you don't like. Why not TikTok? Is it because we've skipped a generation? All of them on TikTok now. Like Instagram's Instagram, but TikTok's where it is. You know, like when I was growing up, it was YouTube, Bebo, MySpace, all that. And all of them don't pretty much exist, you know, other than YouTube, and that's, you know, by virtue of YouTube.
Well, you see a lot of the organizations and groups using Facebook, using Instagram. Why not
TikTok?
Like, you can... I understand what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying. But...
how do we maximize that reach?
If they're doing that all the time, you might as well put a little bit of goodness in that.
So that's the argument.
And I get what you're saying too. But if we're doing it already on Facebook, on Instagram, the thing is, the people in the masajid and the organizations, they're all still like our age, you know what I mean? I could be wrong. A lot older, exactly. Yeah. So they're not really, you know, in touch with that TikTok because it's sort of new. If we're already on every other app in the world, this is being live streamed on Facebook.
Yeah.
What's the difference?
I'm with you. But that's what they'll say, that the difference is that Facebook, you know what? I think it's because we're more familiar with Facebook, perhaps.
That's what I was saying. Like, they just don't know what TikTok is. I should stop saying TikTok. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to be.
Every time I say TikTok, I think of an orange box. It's very bad. All right. Then I think of my son asking me buy him that orange box. Then I think about the sugar content in that box. Anyway.
I haven't got that far yet. Yeah. Well, what's the difference? Like, if you want to, it's just another avenue. It probably reach young people too, and it'll reach wider.
Khair. Before we end the segment today, I have a question for you and a question for you. Take a deep breath. Parents that are listening in, what's your final advice for them, even if it's you repeating yourself, because you had amazing advice throughout the segment? What's your final advice for those parents who have vulnerable children at home? Every child has innocence and they have vulnerability. That's why they're children. You know? What's your advice to them? Purely from... Sorry, I'll cut you off. I'm so sorry.
No, you're right.
Purely from your perspective.
Love your child first off. Love them. Show them that you love them. Show them how to love. Connect with them. How you connect, you find what they like doing, and how do you find out what they're doing? And this is the most important one, and I'm gonna just end it on this one, is listen. I think the most important thing for parents is to listen to what their kids got to say. Giving them the pedestal to be able to express themselves, how they feel, whether it be I don't feel good today, I'm angry at you. No, if they're happy, ask them, why are you happy today? And yeah, I'm going to say it again, listen. I'm going to say it one more time, listen. To your children. And if they say something and they do something out of bounds, then it's your time to teach. That's your time to teach. Should they see that as disrespecting them? Because that's what happens. The ego trips. I don't think so. Like, again, I'm not a parent, but having a child is not easy, I assume. Oh, yeah.
I'll tell you what it is, man. All right. Are you ready for it?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah.
You sure? All right, bro. When you see a child at bedtime pull up an apple and eat it like a delicacy, and you've told them, man, clean up the room 100 times, and you've told them go to bed 40 times, you think to yourself, man, what am I doing with my life? Nah, but with all honesty, you have a piece of yourself if you're attached to your child. This is an issue that a lot of parents face, is the disattachment from their child. If you're attached to your child, this is a piece of you walking around in the world.
Yeah.
You need to approach it that way.
Exactly.
This is a piece of you walking around in the world. That's scary, man.
Oh.
It's very scary. There's a scary world out there.
Yeah, 100. I agree.
For the attachment there, building that solid, positive, healthy attachment with your child, I think is what's very important.
100. And it's not trying to connect with them at a teenage age. It's
much prior.
A lot, like when they're born, you got to be there with them.
The amount of people that I hear, brothers, Allah yahdihun ya Rab, they're workaholics, man. Like, Habibi, your child's 3 years old, spend time with him. Oh, but why? They'll forget. What do you say to that mentality? See how you said from when they're born?
Yeah.
They think that the connection can just spark up when they hit 10 years old.
And,
you know what I mean?
And this is coming from people telling me, and their parents trying to, like, what do I do with them? They're just not listening to me. I'm like, yeah, but you're trying to establish a relationship that's hasn't been there for like 17 years. So
why would they listen to you?
Yeah.
Where were you?
But
and see how they're not listening to me. Why though? Why are you the pivotal point here? It's because it's disrespect. That's why I said it's disrespect. They translate their defiance or disobedience towards their words as disrespecting the parents, not as a expression of need.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, exactly. And through the listening, you role model, like you said earlier, and that's where I'm gonna letting
Allah
you
يبارك
talk
فيك.
now.
Rayhan, same question to you, man. Being a 18-year-old young man, may Allah marry you. Ameen, to the best of wife, to the best of wife, afwan. Gotta keep my job. And Allah Azza wa Jalla allow you to be of the best of husbands, inshallah. How would you?
I think Habil, sorry for cutting you off. I think Habil covered it more than enough.
Yeah,
Just
it's the
listening.
love and attachment.
Yeah. It's the love being there, yeah. And it's also the remembrance of Allah. Yeah. If you,
In the house.
a family that prays together, it's a family that's always going to be closer than any other family.
100%. Tabarakallah. Subhanallah, man. You know, in Western culture at the moment, there's a big push for. There's a movement. It's actually a not-for-profit organization. It's called Dinner Around the Table, or to some, it's paraphrased to that, where they're pushing for families to have one meal a day together around the table without a device. That's how disconnected the family unit is. Remember how I spoke about the Bronfen-Brenner theory?
Yeah.
About how it's all those different layers? Out of the window these days, man. Like, this is 21st century master of teaching. This is what we're being taught. I'm looking at the theory, I'm thinking, doesn't suit our current context at all. Because you bring in a multitude of layers just with your phone, just with your iPad, just with the device. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For building that, see how they're trying to build it around the meal, building it around prayer. Prayer gives you purpose. Prayer gives you barakah. We really do. That's our belief system. Our belief system is prayer. And that's actually one of the instructions to one of the prophets. That's command or influence your family to pray, and do not worry about rizq. The rizq will come from Allah, the sustenance will come from Allah Azza wa Jal. So that's a beautiful way to end the segment. Allah yubarik fiqh. Thank you so much for that, man.
Good job to you.
Is any final remarks?
I think that's it.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your time today, Shabab. Barakallahu fikum. May Allah guide us to that which pleases Him. اللهم يجعلنا من الذين يستمعون القول فيتبعون أحسنه. Thank you very much to our viewers. Barakallahu fikum. I hope you found benefit amongst the banter. And as we said, or as has been, presented to you, this is real talk. These are the struggles that our youth are facing. And if you need help, reach out to one of the centers that were mentioned today, or to your local youth organization. If they go to an Islamic school, possibly their well-being coordinator or their student support officer or their counselor and whatnot. But take the responsibility of your child seriously. Take the responsibility of your child seriously. It is an amanah from Allah Azza wa Jal upon you, not upon the sheikh, not upon the imam, not upon the teacher at school. They're secondary. You are the primary person that will be asked about your child. So fear Allah Azza wa Jal with your child and be mindful of how you're preparing them for the future. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك. Sorry, Habibi? Naam. And please remember, on this point as well, giving sadaqah on behalf of your child for Allah to guide them is something good for you to do. We're in the 10 days of Dhul Hijjah. Give and Allah will give back. In 10-fold, in 20-fold, in 1,000,000-fold. You have the pixel, Allah has the bigger picture. Giving sadaqah today could protect your child in the future, and that is something that's within the destiny and the predestined plan of Allah Azza wa Jal for all of us. So dig deep, give in your charity with the intention of protection for your family from all ailments, and we leave you with that. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت واستغفرك اللهم وأتوب إليك والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.